Good evening, everyone. It is time for a very exciting debate night. We're playing motherfucking bingo with a Brainrot soundboard. I believe we have a correspondent on the side, Stewie.
Brian, look out. No.
Thank you, Stewie. Reactbot, are you ready?
I'm feeling a light 7 here.
Let's have a good debate.
Wow. That was so nice.
When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
Sorry.
Those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. Do not come.
Probably the worst in our nation's history.
What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do
lie.
with Project 2025.
Lie.
That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas.
So,
Get his ass.
Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people.
She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just...
Did he really say that?
Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off.
He ended up selling American chips to China, basically sold us out.
Wow.
When a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy, but millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, they're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals.
Oh my God.
And that's bad for our economy,
Yuck.
too. They have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor.
Wrong. No one's doing that.
Her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine.
Get him.
Also, I did a great service in doing it. I took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court
get his
had
ass,
great
Reactbot.
courage.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Let's go!
I don't want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies. And that's not actually a surprising fact.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again...
That's a non-answer.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because you're running J.D. Vance has said that you would
answer the
veto
question.
if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., I don't mind if he has a certain view. We don't have to discuss it.
Answer the fucking question.
Nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
Another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that?
Yeah, come on, dude.
And I'll tell you something. He's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter.
Sure does.
And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
Why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional
not gonna answer the
agents and
question.
officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the rallies.
He's
She said people start leaving. People don't go to her. She can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible
He's
rallies
obsessed
in the
with
history of
rally size.
politics.
Obsessed.
That's because people want to take their country back. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield,
Or are they?
they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Or
They're
are
eating
they? You
that
miserable
live
old
there.
dumb fuck. Straight up racism. Yeah, straight up racism.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community. All
I've
this-
seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
People on
this is a
television say
clear-
my dog was taken and used for
Shut up,
food,
old
so-
man.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
Talk about extreme. You know,
he's
issues
mad.
that affect the American people are not being addressed.
They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book. Because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they? But
What are you talking about?
they allowed criminals, many, many millions of criminals.
Wow.
They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into
my
our country.
God.
And they're now in the United States. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why?
Because they're dictatorships.
Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania.
Wait, I totally missed the transphobia. What did he fucking say? Did he really? What does that even? Transgender operations?
Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You
Here we
said
go.
you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did?
Not a thing. He's gonna say.
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on.
Nah, you egged them on, bitch. You know you egged them on.
When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America?
Those people?
They're coming in from all.
Those people, Trump?
It's a very simple question as we move forward
Very.
to another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech.
Nothing
I said,
to do
"I
with
think it's
that."
good." Nancy Pelosi rejected me. She is fully responsible for what happened.
He'll blame everyone but himself.
I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through?
Oh
on
my
the
God.
southern I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016.
Yeah, how much did the other guy
you
get?
can't be
Hey, Trump, how
beaten.
much did the other guy get, though?
We need two things. We need walls. We have to have borders.
Or do we?
And we have to have good elections. Our elections
We have good
are
elections.
bad.
No.
And a lot of these
No.
illegal immigrants
No.
coming in,
No.
they're trying to get them to vote.
She's
And
keeping her
now
cool,
she's running.
and he's
I
blowing
don't
up.
understand
This is
if
Trump
I'm
right
okay
now.
with-
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very
Russia?
well. He would
Where-
have never, and
what?
there's no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years. I'll get the war
of culture, I
with
see.
Ukraine
No.
and Russia ended.
No, Reactbot. He's really not.
Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe, like I did with NATO. They paid billions
getting
and
angry.
billions, hundreds of billions
Uh-oh,
of
Daddy's
dollars
getting
when I said,
angry.
I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a
Does
good
he? Does he know
relationship.
Zelensky?
And what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And
I'll
in
make 'em
fact, when I
kiss.
saw Putin,
I'll get them together. We'll have a nice lunch, some hoagies. I'll make him kiss.
Just to clarify the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interests for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
Nothing.
Negotiate a deal.
Nothing.
Because we have
No
to
answer.
stop all
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. Why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania
Damn.
how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch?
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to
Haven't
respond to
responded
something you
yet.
said earlier.
If you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible
President, shut the
jobs
fuck
he's
up.
ever seen
President
done.
Trump, shut
Thank
the
you.
fuck up.
wanna
Thank
turn
you.
to
Shut
it.
up.
The president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place, and this former president, as president,
She wanted to say
invited
something else.
them.
I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he
No
said,
way.
why do you send
And I
me a
said,
picture
way.
of my... And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on.
Oh my
now
God,
to
she's
race
in
and
disbelief.
politics
She's
in
like,
this country.
"What are you saying,
Mr.
dude?"
President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago." Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care.
But those were your words, so I'm
I
asking.
don't know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is
I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently attempted to use race to divide the American people.
this is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said.
They
Going
quote
back
you.
many
They come up with
years,
these
a
things
lot
I
of people,
say
including-
because I said them.
She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun. She
You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things.
Would you say you're working on a certain project, Mr. President?
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders.
Just try not to laugh.
Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it.
Keeps going after Biden. He misses Biden. He wish he were running against Biden so hard.
From the mayor of Moscow's
Buddy.
wife. Why did he get?
Your opponent's
why did
right
she
there.
pay-
It's
This is a
giving girl
crooked
boss.
administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our
Thank you.
candidates.
Thank you.
Bro really wants us to think he's funny.
Shut you. You're so antagonistic. I haven't seen that one in a long time.